Welcome to What's Happening. I'm Brad.
I'm Fred.
It's the show we talk about what's happening. What's happening with you, bro?
Man, shit, chilling. I've been going through it though, bro.
What you mean? What's happening?
Shit, my shop caught on fire.
What?
Yeah, yeah. Then we had a family situation that what I'm saying was life threatening, but they're okay. So
Is that the one I know about or something else?
nah, it's something else. This just
Oh,
happened like Saturday. I was like, shit. So yeah. I mean, it's been kind of rocky, but shit. Other than that, I mean, the turnaround is shit. I was able to get a lot of work done in my apartments. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of geeked about that. Got two of them almost done. So that's on a brighter note. But family good, everybody else good. Shit, it was good with you, bro.
hey, the family part is what's most important at the end of the day. So I'm happy to hear that, man. Yeah, man. Just I'm getting ready to go through it. So this episode's gonna drop the day before Thanksgiving. And by the time it drops, I will be. No, that's not true because I've been dropping them at midnight. But when people listen to this, they listen to it on Wednesday when they wake up or in the car, whatever the case may be. I'll be on the road to Tennessee, man, going to see mama and grandmama for Thanksgiving and handle some business while I'm down there at the same time.
Right.
Emotional business. I gotta have some conversations with some folks. But yeah, man. I'm ready for the holiday overall. If I get an opportunity to do it, if I get an opportunity to do it, because I got a whole lot going on right now, y'all. If I get a lot opportunity to do it, I'm gonna redrop that Thanksgiving episode from last year for y'all to listen to on Thanksgiving Day. I'm probably not gonna have a chance to do it, just keeping it all the way a buck with you. But I'm telling you, hit the archives. It's the third episode. It's called "What's Happening with Thanksgiving Dinner."
Fire.
Hit it up. If I get to repost it, you'll get the notification on um, whatever day is that. Thursday, duh. If I don't get it, you don't get it. Now here's what I'm gonna also say too, and I'm gonna just ask Fred straight up right now. He shouldn't have an issue with it because you know, I've dropped clips of it in the past, but yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and do it. I'm gonna also drop the video on the Patreon. I told y'all about the Patreon last week. You probably already heard the ad before your boy started talking. The Patreon is going to be ad free listening and it's going to be the video option as well. So feel free to tap in that Patreon. If you can watch me, Fred, and Naaman, and I'm telling you, I'm telling you, that episode is crazy. That episode is fire. So
Yeah,
tap into the
that
Patreon,
was
$5 a
nice.
month, ad free listening, video option. You'll be able to partake in the show, all of that. Tap into the link tree. It'll be in the show notes. The link tree is where you can find all of the show's social media as well. So check that out. Um, we got a full docket. Let's get into it. We're gonna start off with our rest in peace, man. Jason David Frank. We all know him as the original Green Ranger. If you are, my age range, I was 7 when Power Rangers first dropped on TV, and you talking about having a chokehold on everybody,
Indeed.
bro. That was crazy. It was already crazy when the first 5 came out. You know what I'm saying? The red, blue, yellow, uh, pink, and black. That was crazy enough. When they came in with the Green Ranger off the top, that was crazy, man. But Jason David Frank, who played the Green Ranger, the very first Green Ranger, and then played the White Ranger and a bunch of other roles as well on the show. His character was Tommy Oliver. He passed away over the weekend, and the reports are that it was suicide.
You said it was what?
Suicide.
From
Did you
him?
not? Yeah, that's what suicide is. Did
I,
you not see? You not see that part?
I didn't see that part.
Yeah, man. And he took his own life. Um,
Mm, that's hard.
yeah, man.
mental
I
mental illness is real. I mean,
yeah.
was there today? Was there like any underlying circumstances they think it may have been from?
Not that I've heard, not that I've seen anything, but it's just been an outpouring of people just like, whoa, like this was the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I said,
Hmm.
Power Rangers dropped when I was 7. I mean, you was 5 or just about to turn 5 because your birthday's it's a little later than mine. I think October. I know it's October. We just had this conversation. It's November. um, but I mean, man, like everybody wanted to be a Power Ranger, bro. The video games, the shows, the movies, the toys, bro. Bro, the one thing I always wanted when I was a kid, man, I wanted the whole uh there was the set of Power Ranger toys where it was the Power Rangers, but the heads could flip, right? So they could be like the Power Ranger just like in their regular like or they be
Oh
in the
yeah,
Power Ranger
yeah,
suit,
yeah,
but they
yeah,
had the head
yeah.
out, but then you could pop the head back in and it'd be their Power Ranger suit. But then
Yeah, I remember that.
The Green Ranger, his shield could come off just like it could on the TV show. And you could put his shield on somebody else, the little shield that he wore. Man,
Hmm.
I mean, just they like I said, the Power Rangers had a chokehold, man, and man, it's just sad to see that he took his own life. It's sad that he passed in general, but you know the fact that he took his own life on top of that, 49 years old, it's it's real sobering. So rest in peace to Jason David Frank. Forgive me for saying his name wrong there at first. Um, man, and uh, the cries for mental health continue to be out there. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I'm not in a position to diagnose anybody, but man, just take your mental health seriously. You don't want to do. Don't make a. It sounds so cheesy to say it, but don't make a permanent decision for a temporary problem. It's sad that this has happened.
Definitely.
Um, man, let's move to Shanquella Robinson. So I know you've been looking into that. You have been seeing it maybe a day or two before I was starting to see it. But
Yeah.
for those that don't know the story, here's the long and short. She was in Cabo on a trip with friends, and I'm using quotation marks for those that are listening. With friends, um, they told these friends told her mother, told Shanquella's mother that she died of alcohol poisoning, and um, that turned out to not exactly be the case. The death certificate showed that she had multiple injuries, including a broken spine. Um, there's some video that has surfaced showing that she is being beat pretty aggressively, and it looked like she was, naked in the beating as well. Um, it's pretty terrible. Yeah, I know you got to see it a little bit before me, man. What are you thinking?
I mean, it's horrible. It's one. It just goes to show, no matter who you call your friends, you got to really know that they people that's in your corner. The days of going on trips with people just because they can afford it and you think it'll be fun because y'all kick it, don't mean they really got your best interest at heart. You know,
Yeah,
it's because I mean, it's sad and it's disheartening. No parent should ever have to go through that. You know, I think it's one thing to, get that phone call of a tragic accident or, if your kid heavy in the streets, a night went bad. But to just think, your child was supposed to be going on vacation with, supposed friends to not return and then just get some kind of nonchalant story from them is even more wild. You know,
yeah,
I I just can't imagine as a parent, you know, for a child to make it back to me and tell me that my child was the only child that didn't make it back. You know,
Yeah.
that's just rough. So I mean, I feel for the parent, you know what I mean? Because that's like I said, that's just disheartening. Um, and at the same time, I'm just trying to figure out why. I get they was in Cabo, so it may be a jurisdiction thing, but shouldn't they be in some type of? Because it just feel like they just out here too free, making posts and trying to tell their side of the story. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't getting it.
Yeah, man. And you speak about the parent side of it, you know, to know that you've lost your child has been, um, it's a pain that I can't imagine. To understand that there is something deeper going on
Just
is,
foul play involved.
yeah. I mean, not to the degree of foul play, but I've got a couple stories where I can relate. I've shared it before on the pod. My father was sick. All of my life, basically, from the point that I was 2 until he passed away when I was 31. He was always sick, but he never really. I think I've touched on this before. He never really, sat me down and kind of explained what was going on. Um, and I think that it was in an effort to. I think he just kind of accepted, not accepted, but he realized that he had been dealt a bad hand of cards,
Hmm.
and he wasn't gonna weigh me down or try to hold back my life because of what he had going on. Um, there'd be times where he and I would talk, and man, I'm the kind of person I just move, 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 and like it might be a few weeks since he and I talked, and then he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I was in the hospital, 2 weeks ago. I was in the hospital for a week," and I was like, what? Like stuff like that would happen all the time, and it got to the point where I had to tell him like, "Yo, like you got to tell me what's going on." And
Right.
eventually it got to the point where he'd be like, "Yeah, I've been in the hospital for like, for 3 days, but I should be going home tomorrow." It got better over time. Um, but like I'm his only son. So like if I didn't know, then could nobody do nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, but I go back I bring him back up to say, I remember, when he passed away. So first off, he had gotten sick, and he was in the hospital. He was sleeping, um, and the doctor came in and said, you know, "Do you have any arrangements made yet?" And I was like, "No." He goes, "Might be time to start looking for some arrangements." And like for him to say that to me, bro, my dad had been sick so much. It's just like, I mean, he gonna get out of here. Like it was just like unreal to hear that, right?
Right.
Um, and then lo and behold, they thought he was on the mend. And They ended up giving him dialysis. He had kidney failure. That was the big thing that happened when I was 2. They give him dialysis, and that's when he just took a turn for the worse at that point, right? And
Mhm.
it was a Friday. They called me. The hospital called me, and they were just like, "Hey, you might want to, you might want to come down. We expect them to pass tonight." And I'm just like, "What?" Like it was just crazy. And then I got there, and they were like, "Listen, like we got to know what you want us to do in this situation. He's got this going on, he's got that, he's got this, he's got that, he had this surgery, he had that surgery, he had this pacemaker," and just like all this stuff had happened to him. And I had no idea. He never let me know. And I remember at that point, it had went from like my dad had always been sick, but just like he was just sick, right? And it
Right.
was like in an instant, it was like, whoa, like his death is actually imminent. And then he ultimately passed the next morning. But it was just like, even though there was this 30-year buildup, of him being unhealthy, it still felt unreal because I was never really abreast as to specifically what his challenges were.
Right.
So, long drawn out story to say I can't imagine what that kind of pain is to learn that it wasn't a tragic accident, that something heinous had actually happened. Um, the other thing I was thinking about, man, I give you grief and I give people grief in general about blaming the media for stuff. And outside of local media, I'm not seeing the story at all, and that's alarming. Like local media, like in that North Carolina market, like uh, go ahead.
You're you're not going to see much media on it, unfortunately. Um, and it's just more so because to my point earlier, nothing's really happening to the people. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it it's like, how do you cover a story or keep covering something where there's nothing extra happening? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Now, if they go after and prosecute these kids or whatever, you know what I'm saying, for what happened, then you may start seeing coverage. You may start seeing trial, you know what
You
I'm
know what?
saying, dates coming up and things of that nature. But unfortunately, the story doesn't bleed any further. There's no coverage.
You're right. I because as you mentioned that, I'm remembering now that the Ahmaud Arbery thing when he was murdered, that happened in February of 2020, but I didn't hear about it until July. Same thing with Breonna Taylor. That happened in March of 2020, but I didn't hear about it till late June, early July, something like that. So, yeah,
Mm,
once things kind of ramped up, that's when you saw it happen in the national media space. You are right about that.
yeah, they say, you know what I'm saying, I forget how they say it, was something about um, if you don't bleed, it don't lead or something of that nature. So basically stating that if there's nothing more to it, then they're not gonna cover it. You know what I'm saying? It's the same way. Like if someone go missing, people like, well, why ain't the news showing it? Why ain't the news reporting it? It's not until it becomes alarming that they say something. 20 days or once it gets excessive. But within the
Yeah, I
first
got you.
week, you know what I mean, they're not gonna say nothing.
I
So
got you.
it's just kind of in that nature. But it's unfortunate because not only should the media be picking it up, the state should be picking it up. But like I said, because it was across, what I'm saying, borders, unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, I don't know if there's a whole lot the state can do unless there's something that says it was premeditated here in the States, you know what I'm saying, to take her over there and commit murder. And it's not
Y-
something that just happened as they were over there.
Yeah, and you saying that makes sense. I'm remembering. I didn't remember. I don't remember this happening in real time, and I only remember it's only top of mind somewhat right now because I recently participated in a poll on the You're So Quiet podcast with Chelsea Brown. But for October, she did like a spooky season type theme, and it was like real life horror stories, and she asked people to participate. And I remembered Bison Dele. He used to play for the Detroit Pistons. He just kind of up and retired out of nowhere. Um, Bought a boat. This is paraphrasing the story. Feel free to look it up. Bison Dele. Dele is spelled Dele. Um, Basically, he was out on the boat. The skipper or whoever that person is gets called to drive the boat. And Bison Dele and Bison Dele's girlfriend were on the boat with Bison Dele's brother. Um, they all left together, but only the brother returned. The bodies are believed to be at the bottom of the sea of the other three, and it's believed that he shot him, and then he killed himself when basically all the evidence was pretty clear. He gave a story that didn't make sense, but yeah. So Um, what did you say? What made me think about more evidence?
Basically, it was over the border, so
Oh
it
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah. It was out of the country. Sorry, that Bison Daly situation it happened out of the U.S. So it took the FBI and whoever it was, some time to really dig up the information. Um, yeah, it's
yeah, and especially in places like Mexico and these, um, you know, s- southern. Uh, we get the exact term of it, but it's like a southeastern, you know, what I'm saying, countries or whatever you want to say. They don't really cooperate with us. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to, and they don't feel the need to. So a lot of times when it comes to investigating stuff like that, we're on our own with it. You know what I'm saying? Unless it becomes something or it causes an issue for them, then they may want to help get it done and over with or figured out because
yeah,
they can't have that type of publicity or that type of issue if it's bringing a cause. Like, for instance, if that death was, you know what I'm saying, like, say all five friends went out and this one came up missing, just like, hey, she went on a date with a guy and she didn't come back from the date. We're looking for her. So now it's like, okay, don't travel to Cabo. So now they're losing, you know what I'm saying, immense amount of money because travelers like women coming up missing over there. We cool. Now they'll help get to the bottom of it because it's causing an impact in their, you know what I'm saying, culture and society. So
right. Yeah, I mean, so they got the death certificate from Mexico from Cabo, and that's where everything began to really kind of rise up. So I don't see why Mexico would be harmful in helping us or trying to figure out what's going on because they don't have no skin in the game. It was a maid that found uh that found Shanquella's body. So I mean, I think we got more to see on that one. Rest in peace. It's
hopefully so.
sad.
Hopefully the mind get justice.
Absolutely. And it might take a while. Um, the cops that killed Breonna Taylor just got arrested. We talked about that happened in March of 2020. They just got arrested in July.
What I'm Yeah, but what I'm hoping in this situation is that these are young kids. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, either way, if they so, you know what I'm saying, a lot faster to where one of them come out with some new information. You know what I'm saying? Because I just don't see a lot of kids, especially the ones that she was with, being these type of people. You know what I mean? Like, just and can live with it. So
Yeah, yeah. We'll see what happens, man. You know, rest in peace to the young lady. Yeah, my heart goes out to that family. Um, there've been a lot of donations to that family through the GoFundMe. Yeah, I saw the GoFundMe myself. Looks like Kyrie Irving donated 65 grand in multiple donations. Uh, that's for those that may not know. I'm sure everybody knows who he is by now, but basketball player for the almost in New Jersey Nets, the Brooklyn Nets. John Laguerre, he is or was the CEO of T-Mobile. He put up a few grand, maybe 10 or 12 grand. I saw some other noteworthy people. I can't think of their names right now, but they were able to raise a lot of money for that family to help, with the final cost and things of that nature. So, um,
definitely,
you know, looking forward to seeing the truth come out and and getting her justice. All right,
definitely.
man. Last story on death, and then we done with death for the week. Um, so this article got updated since I sent it to you. But Alabama was set to execute a man. The jury voted 11-1 to give him life in prison, but the judge overruled that. The man's name is Kenneth Smith. The judge overruled that and said, "Nah, death penalty." So the part that stuck out to me was, what's the purpose of the jury? If 11 out of the 12 can say life in prison and the judge can just come over the top, like what are we doing? Now, I am not a I'm not a proponent of the death penalty at all in any circumstances. Um, that comes from, really my Christian beliefs. I hate saying it like that, but you know, there's more freedom in death than there is punishment. Like you
Yeah,
can,
yeah. I see where you're going.
yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not about to preach, but you know, in the Christian faith, you confess with your mouth, you believe with your heart, you good, right?
Yeah.
So what that means is, and this is what I believe, and I'm not trying to preach to anybody, but this means that you could realistically commit a crime, and this man committed that crime in 1988. He killed, I forgot the lady's name, but it happened. The 1988 killing of Elizabeth Sennett. Um, it is quite possible that he has changed his views on life since 1988. It is quite
34
possible that he
years
is a
ago.
exactly. It is quite possible, quite believable that he's a different person from that time. Hell, I am a different person from the person that I was in 2020. Like, keep it a buck with you. So what I'm saying is that because of that, there is no punishment for the crime in death. You may see death as the ultimate punishment. It might be, but there's still more freedom in death than there is uh, in life. I don't know how else to say it.
I mean, that's a good way of putting it for real. I never looked at it that way. Um, when did they catch him for this crime?
That I don't know. I was not able to find that. So and what I should say is that it was actually stopped, but it was because the time and the warrant in the process of what you have to do everything, you have they weren't able to get it done. So they couldn't put him to death. Um Let me find this part of the article because I want to make sure that it makes
This
sense. Say it again.
See, that's crazy.
Yeah, Kenneth Smith's execution by lethal injection, which would have been the fourth execution in the U.S. last week, was sidelined after its administrators faced issues finding a vein to set an intravenous line. We tried several locations on his body. The thwarted procedure highlights critics' questions about Alabama's ability to adhere to its own death penalty protocol. The case in which the trial jury's 11-1 vote for a life sentence was overruled by a judge imposed punishment of death also comes as jury recommendations are in the national spotlight for Florida for the Parkland shooting. I'm skipping a little bit more. This is the part I want. Smith had been scheduled to be executed at 6 p.m. for his role in the 1988 killing of Elizabeth Sennett, but the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals granted him a stay of execution just hours before his death warrant was set to expire at midnight. The state then filed an emergency appeal with the U.S. Supreme Court, which less than 2 hours before the death warrant was set to expire, returned its decision vacating the lower court's decision and granting the state the ability to move forward the execution. So the
So the
judge overruled
Supreme
it.
Court agreed.
So the judge overruled it. The state court said overruled the judge, but then the U.S. Supreme Court said, nah, kill that man. And
Who is this lady?
Elizabeth Senate, I don't know, bro.
I
1988.
mean, Elizabeth Senate should. The way you say that, like we supposed to know who she. I need to know who she is for the
I'm read.
Supreme Court to be
I am.
like, "Hey, look."
He said the way you reading it, you crazy.
I'm just saying, like, just think about it. For the state to be like, which is another crazy part too, but for the state to be like, no, let's not do this. And the Supreme Court to step over them and say, nah, that judge right. Go ahead and do that. Either she had to be a very important lady, or it's
Well,
something more to the situation.
well, the article says that the three liberal judges voted against it, but the other judges are the ones that approved it. So they either got a 5-4 or 6-3 Republican conservative majority to go ahead and kill him. I don't necessarily know that that means that that Republicans are okay with the death penalty. I think most people in general are not. Um, but the CNN article made sure to highlight that the three liberals voted against it. There's a chance that John Roberts, he's a conservative, but he's more centrist than he's like a center left. I'm sorry, center right more so than a right, so to speak. I was trying to find the article, trying to find out who this Elizabeth Senate lady is, and I can't find any information on her. I guess maybe she was the wife of a pastor. Uh, I don't know. I can't find any good information for it. But I mean, I guess he's still gonna eventually be executed. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't love the idea. I already went through my tirade. I don't love the idea of the death penalty
I
at
mean,
all.
it doesn't bother me about the idea of the death penalty, but I just feel like, it, if it is, let it be something, you know what I mean, that is worth it, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying, you know what
I
I'm
know what you're
saying,
saying.
one life and, you know what I'm saying, so we take another, but, you know, mass killing, you know what I mean? Like somebody that may do harm again or could possibly do the same amount of, you know what I'm saying, catastrophic harm that they did the first time again. It's somebody I can see you putting down. Like, for instance, you know, if this arms dealer that Russia wanted to trade for is that big of an issue or a problem, he should have been put down in the first place when you got him. Like he shouldn't even be optional to be talking about right now. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my opinion. If he's that, you know what I'm
You're
saying,
talking
dangerous
about
person.
so all the listeners can keep up. You're talking about the guy that the Russians want in a prisoner swap for Brittany Griner.
Yeah, the arms dealer, whoever, if he's that dangerous of a person, you know what I'm saying, he shouldn't even be an option on the table right now for Russia because he should get the death penalty. He should have had the death penalty, you know what I'm saying, when we got him and tried him and the whole nine. So I don't know. My justice system's backwards.
Yeah, I think you're saying like if he's that big of a criminal and we didn't kill him, if he sold guns to terrorists that killed thousands of people, why are we
Yeah,
trying to kill this guy to kill one person? I think that's what you're
yeah,
trying to say.
yeah. You
Yeah,
know, I mean, that's
uh,
to me in the sense that he's worth getting, saying lethal injection before
by proxy,
somebody,
right?
yeah, you know what I'm saying? But we got people who didn't kill one person all day long that's serving life in prison. You know what I'm saying? What makes him so much different? Is it because he did in 1988 versus 2020? I mean, like,
I mean, it sounds like it's because he did it in Alabama.
I mean, that might have a lot to do with it in 88 killing somebody in Alabama, but at the
Yes.
same time, and then at the same time, I would also question Is Kenneth, what's his name? Kenneth Long the second?
No, it was Kenneth Smith.
Kenneth Smith, that's the judge.
No, that's the guy that did the murder.
Who's the judge?
They never gave the judge's name.
I want to know if
Kenneth
he's
is a
still,
white man.
huh?
Kenneth is a white man. I think that's where you get ready to go.
No,
Oh.
I just want to know if the judge still going to be the judge, you know what I'm saying, when all these positions change after that election. That's my question. I mean, when you got people like that overriding what the jury say, I don't think he should have a job anymore.
Yeah, but if it was an appointed position, then there's nothing that can be done.
Yeah, but it sounded like this was in regular court. This wasn't at no the Supreme Court was the one that
But if it's
override the state.
but if it's a federal court, that means it was a presidential appointee. And that position is for life unless they take another position, like a Supreme Court. I don't know. Now you got me wanting to dig deep and see who appointed them and things like that. But yeah, you know, we'll see what happens with that one, man. I do not. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it alone. No more death. We done with death for this episode, y'all. The first half hour or so, but we done with it. Let's go to uh a little politics since we already talked about it anyway. I didn't see you any articles on it, but did you see Nancy Pelosi says that she won't run to be the Democratic leader in the House anymore?
No, I didn't see that, but I mean, I don't think she hurt nobody's feelings.
Well, so here's what's interesting. The Democratic Party has been at this weird point where they can't get anything done because there's this one wing of the party that's like super liberal that wants to just go all the way to the left. And then there's this other part of the party, which is like a lot of the older Democrats that still try to be like that moderate centrist type. We want to be for everybody. Um, and like there's a lot of infighting within the Democratic Party, whereas with the Republican Party, there's not really nearly the degree of infighting that you see on the Democratic side, on the left side. And so with her stepping down as the leader, and she's saying that, like, well, not stepping down, but she's saying that she won't run to be leader of the party anymore. And then James Clyburn, who's the third in command, he is saying that he won't run for a leadership position anymore. And I think the second person in command is like still wanting to run, but he's ready to, I don't know. And I also forgot what his name is anyway. But it represents a change in where the party could go. And that's what's interesting. So something I didn't realize is that Nancy Pelosi first got elected to the House in 86. I think she yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. She became, they said she became a congresswoman in 1987, which mathematically speaking, that would mean that she won her seat in 1986. And she is 82 years old now. So she started in 87 and she's now 82. That's a long time
Hey, she
to
done
be in
aged
Congress.
well though.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought she was in her 80s. I mean, she's
Bruh,
old.
there ain't no way in the world I'd have thought that.
Yeah.
Like Biden, I'd have think all day, like, yeah, he for sure. You know what I'm saying? Trump, any of them jokers, they could pass for a quick 80, you know what I'm saying? But I
Well,
wouldn't have
Biden
thought that.
just turned 80 yesterday on Sunday, which
Look,
I thought he was older than that, but I guess
look,
not.
he Biden aging like Chicago mayor. Look, it's
Man, we gonna leave Lori alone. Excuse me. Sneezing on the
bless you.
podcast. That's crazy. That's how y'all
Say
know we're
what?
recording. So I'm sneezing on the podcast. That's crazy.
Well, yeah. Nah. I mean, I'd never thought that, but I mean, shit. Man, she been in politics long and I've been alive. Gee, it's time to retire. Let it
Yeah,
go.
man. And it's really evident to me. People are talking like, man, like we really need term limits in the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate. People say we need
Hell
term limits,
yeah.
but that really like crystallizes what it means, right? So we just talked about when we did our bonus episode here in Michigan. We just changed the term limits. I guess we didn't talk about what actually happened at the end, but we just changed the term limits in Michigan. So right now in Michigan, to be in the state house, it used to be you could be in the state house for 3 terms, and a term is 2 years, and you could do the state senate for 2 terms, and the state senate seat is a 4-year term. Um, Now we just changed it to where it doesn't matter how many times you do the state house. It doesn't matter how many times you do the state senate, but it's no more than 12 years in total. So that actually shortened the time that somebody could be in the state legislature
About like
by
two
2 years.
years.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and like to think that I was born in '86, bro. That means literally she spent the first 4 months of my life campaigning, won her seat, and then a 2 month break between campaigning and being, inaugurated or whatever it's called when you take your oath for the House. And
Right.
she's been in the House ever since. My entire life, your entire life.
Yeah. As I said before I was born, bro, like it, her name hold weight through that bitch at this point.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure. And a lot of people say like there should be age limits. I don't agree with age limits because I don't think ageism is a thing that we want to get into. But term limits, absolutely.
I
Abs-
mean, here's my thing, and I can see a reasoning in age limits because one, age limits will help shorten terms because you know what I'm saying, you won't be able to start until a certain time. So then therefore your longevity, you know what I'm saying, isn't always going to be there because you only get a certain amount of time and you're going to be hitting a certain age by that time. You know what I'm saying? That's going to put you generally in the later years. But I also don't think age is a bad idea. Yeah, young people can have great ideas and can be some great leaders, but there's far few in between. You know what I'm saying?
well, so we do have an age minimum, at least for the presidency. You got to
Yeah,
be
for
at
the
least 30.
presidency.
You got to be at least 34 years old to run for president. Um, and I don't necessarily love that either. An age limit, an age limit law of any form just seems shaky automatically.
I mean I wouldn't say, I can't say that because I couldn't say I would love the day I seen an 18 or 22-year-old president.
Okay, I feel that, right. At the same time, well, and I'll just get off topic at that point. If somebody were to run for president at 18, and if they were to win, to me, that could only happen if there was a high level of disengagement and into our politics to a degree that like it's unrealistically disengaged. Like, because it's pretty disengaged now, realistically. Um, we talked about it. 2018, that was a record year for voter turnout for eligible age voters, and that was only 53%. Um, I mean, I just gotta imagine that if there are that many people paying attention to what's going on in real time, there's no way that an 18-year-old would win. Because to your point, the reason why you wouldn't want it is because they just wouldn't have the requisite experience to be able to relate to Americans of all ages. Like when you're 18, it's hard to really fathom what a 42-year-old, father of three is going through. Not impossible. Maybe you got some stuff going
I mean,
on.
you could sympathize with them, you know what I'm saying? Or you may have seen it from an outside looking in perspective, you know what I mean? Because you may have once been one of the three of the 46-year-old father, you know what I mean? Because so
Big facts.
you you can have that perspective. And I'm not saying that, you know what I'm saying, there won't be ability to sympathize or be relatable, you know, but at the same time, I think decision making isn't gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? Like the critical aspect of things, you know what I'm saying? The logical aspect of things won't be there. It's not, you know what I mean? An 18-year-old will react off impulse way faster than they react off logic, facts, or you know what I'm saying, critical thinking. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So I think that's where things will get, you know what I'm saying, into a bind if we had somebody at a younger age who, you know, this one could be high headed and yeah, this one could be level thinking. But, you know, one may be logical and one may not be. You know what I mean? Like it's just to me that would be missing, and I feel having somebody older is just going to be more well rounded
Yeah.
and ability. What I would say, far as age limit, I think after you've reached a certain age, there shouldn't be, you know, a chance of you running. You know what I mean? Like, just it. If you 75, 80 years old, I mean, what are you really contributing? In real aspect, you know what I'm saying? What are you contributing? And what is the purpose for you to want to, you know what I'm saying, take that high stress level of a job? I mean, I can see is I've been in politics all my life, and this is, you know what I'm saying, what I jumped in it for from the beginning. But I don't think you're really are adding or you know what I'm saying, you're not as valuable to a country at that age as you would be maybe between 34 and 65 or 34 and 70. You know what I'm saying? I just don't.
You know, I think at that point it's just relative to the person. I think that, hey, I do it often enough, might as well do it again, right? Y'all know I like wrestling. And, Vince McMahon only just retired because of,
The
his
lawsuit.
his lawsuit drama. He was being investigated about the way he was spending money. But looking at him from a business perspective, at 77 years old, he was still writing or creating content for. He was head of creative for all of his shows, the final booker for all of his matches. He was still signing incredible business deals. Got a massive deal out of Peacock. Got a massive deal out of Universal. He sold the WWE Network, which is what he started himself. They just built their own streaming service. He sold the U.S. version of that to Peacock for $2 billion.
But
So I
see,
mean,
there's a difference with that. And don't get me wrong, I you know what I'm saying, those are great points, and you know what I'm saying, have some, you know what I'm saying, valid points, but the difference is he's been in that bag and only one in that bag. You know what I'm saying? Like once he got into that bag and was doing this thing, you know what I'm saying, that's what he does. You know what I mean? I can see if we didn't trade this position off every 4 to 8 years, you know what I'm saying, and you're taking over from somebody else and trying to, you know what I'm saying, keep the wheels rolling while, you know what I'm saying, patching and
mm,
repairing and replacing, you know what I'm saying, all at the same time. It's not the same because he's been in that same, you know what I'm saying, kind of role for a while. You know what I mean? So at one point, it's natural and it's easy. You know what I'm saying? That's like right now, if I put you inside of a store and said sell these phones, I don't care how long it's been. That's you gonna easily hop right into it and just, you know what I'm saying, get to it.
I see
It's
what you're
not
saying.
in the same sense with, you know what I'm saying, being a president or being a CEO of an organization or a company. You know what I'm saying? That's not the same because one, each person that's been in your role hasn't taken this over in the same manner. You know what I'm saying? We haven't been in the same position with each president once they, you know what I'm saying, gotten sworn in and took an office. So right there alone is gonna make a difference. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why I say I, I can see putting a cap age on it because you're gonna want somebody, you know what I'm saying, spunky on their toes, that's, you know what I'm saying, able to take over and roll with it, you know what I'm saying, while keeping it afloat and trying to elevate it. You know what I'm saying? And not saying you can't do that in your older age, but at some point you're gonna be like, look, you know, you're just gonna resort to what you're comfortable to. You're not gonna maybe take some risk that is needed as somebody between that 34 to 70-year-old age may say, you know, hey, you know, we know what the options are, we know what the risks are. This is one we just gonna have to take. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes being 70, 80, you be like, and then you miss out on something that could have been real rewarding. You know what I mean? And it goes both ways, but it's just one of those things I think I can see is putting a cap to the ending age, you know what I'm saying, before I would say the beginning age, but I still wouldn't want the beginning age being too young.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, honestly, when it comes to the president, it's just for people to get engaged and nominate better candidates, and it won't change until that happens. Um, but we got term limits. Once you get it, you can only be in there twice.
Yeah.
you know, but that Congress and that Senate, that needs to be looked out at for real, for real. Um, so
To me, it should be on the same kind of sequence as either the president or maybe less. You know what I mean? How you got people that's in there looking at the president like, you're gonna be gone a little bit anyway, player. We just roll with it. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
exactly what
Like,
happened.
you know what I mean? We'll fight this until you up out of here. We're not worried. You know what I mean? And that's really what it is. You know what I'm saying? And you need some fresh people in those seats probably as often as you need them in the presidential seat. So
Mhm. So the answer for us is vote in your primaries.
for sure.
Man, we got a few more topics. Let's go ahead and crack into them real quick. $200,000 for Steve Jobs' old Birkenstocks. Now, if y'all don't know what Birkenstocks are, they shoes, they sandals. That's the big, ugly Jesus sandals with the fish and loaves of bread, strap on the top.
That
Um,
contour to your feet,
yeah,
and it's probably as comfortable as all get out. So we can talk about them all we want to, but we talking about a billionaire who loved them Jones. You know what
you
I'm
know what?
saying?
So here's when I saw this, my first reaction was, ugh, how the hell you want somebody's shoes for $200,000? First off, they were expected to sell for only like 68,000. Let me find it here. They were expected to make 60,000 and sold for $218,750. And it's acquired with the NFT. So that means every time they sell going forward, the person with the NFT gonna get paid again. That's crazy to me. But then I thought about it. I thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about it. If somebody said 1998 Game Six Michael Jordan shoes where he crossed to Byron Russell and made that jumper to win championship number 6, that's gonna go for some cheese. If somebody said the shoes that Kobe wore in his final game against Utah when he scored 60 on them boys, that's gonna go for some cheese. Um,
Somebody said the same shoes that Joe Jackson smacked Michael out of when he did his spin wrong. They're gonna go for some cheese. You know what I'm saying? Like
didn't somebody
it
buy
don't
some
matter who.
old? Sorry, didn't somebody buy some old Elvis drawers recently?
I don't know, but it wouldn't shock me. You know what I'm
I,
saying? Like,
I think somebody bought some old Elvis drawers and they had a stain in them joints right there, dog.
hey, he was out there hustling. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't taking no showers. He's hitting shows. You know what I'm saying? Hitting hoes and making bread. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, and that's when you send it to me, you like, what? I'm like, I mean, it's normal, you know what I'm saying? There ain't much you can get of Steve Jobs, you know what I'm saying? The founder of Apple, like, it's just it's another high end celebrity for somebody else, and the beauty
Hmm.
to it is that person created the value for them shoes. You know what I'm saying? Because they was expected to sell for 60. Now they sold for 218,000. Now the value set.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that come gonna have to come harder. You know what I'm saying? And and it goes on, and you know what I'm saying. Just like anything, even in shoes and clothes and alcohol and everything else, there's always gonna be some top end. You know what I'm saying? Only certain amount of so many made. Oh, this person had it. That's gonna be worth bread.
So I think they must be in a museum or somewhere now because it looks like the auction actually happened in 2012. But they some you know some the color of wheat bread in them drawers, you know. And it looks like in 2012 they were expected to gather 15,000. I think they landed in a museum. It came up recently in the news. Maybe it was just a meme about them draws. Maybe that's what it was. Who knows? The internet is flawless.
It
But
is.
listen, they stuck in my head just like they stuck to them draws. I ain't gonna even. I
Yeah,
was wrong for that.
but
All right, man. Last thing. This was just an ad that I saw on Facebook that I sent to you, and I'm just read the ad. Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield join teams to release ear-shaped edibles.
is this for Halloween?
No, it's cannabis gummy called Holy Ears, and it's Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. For those of you that may not remember, in 1997, Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield had a match, and
Mm-hmm.
in that match, in that boxing match, Mike Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear off, and now they're selling gummy. They're selling ear-shaped cannabis gummies
Listen,
together.
$1 million idea. I ain't mad at him. You know what I'm saying? You talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry and a lot of superstars and celebrities and whatnot is trying to get in where they fit in with it. You know what I mean? Hell, Obama got, what I'm saying, cannabis stuff named after him. Like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Go and get the money. I ain't mad at you.
I'm laughing because I scroll down and look at these comments a little bit. Somebody said that's an irresistible deal. They
The
wrong
internet.
out here. I man, I, I saw it and I was just floored because it's a little morbid. I guess that's the term I want to use.
Hey,
Um, yeah, I don't know, man. It
they
threw me
gonna
off for
sell.
sure. It'll sell. It'll sell. You ain't wrong about that. Folks gonna buy it. Folks, we gonna spend some money up in this country. We don't do nothing else,
We don't do
man.
nothing else.
So, man, check us out ad free on the Patreon. Check out with the video option on the Patreon. Check out all the stuff that we're gonna get. We got a Discord chat that y'all can join in on. Check us out. Follow us on social media. What's happening? WHUSHATTNIN. Hope y'all have a great Thanksgiving. Follow Fred at Mr.Humble_beginnings on Instagram and at Fred Scott on Facebook. Follow me at Brad Robinson 86 on Twitter, Brad Robinson 1986 on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And y'all, they finally let me. I was mad. They finally let me get my professional mode. I think they're letting everybody do it now, but whatever. I'm part of everybody. They let me do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting up some good content. I got a couple of reels up there. You know what I'm saying? Run my numbers up. Help your boy out. I'm trying to be famous. But no, man, we appreciate the love. Share the show with a friend. Like us on social media. Leave us a 5-star review. And y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.